Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We will start by discussing the theory and principles of ethics. A theory is a general guideline, whereas principles are more specific practical guidelines on what is right and what is wrong. Next slide. There are European or Western ethical theories and also Islamic ethical theories, and we'll discuss both of them. The European ethical theories are several. The utilitarian consequence-based theory is a balance of good and bad. It says if the good is more than the bad, the action is ethical. The obligation-based theory says that there is a moral obligation to act on what you reason out as moral or rational. The rights-based theory is based on respect for human rights. All it says is that what is moral is what respects the individual rights of the patient or of the human being. The community-based theory democratizes ethics and morality. All it says is what is moral is what the majority of the citizens or the people consider moral. The relations-based theory says that what is moral, what is ethical, is what maintains the best relationship between the physician and the patient and the family. Now, the case-based theory is a practical case-by-case decision-making, which is pragmatic, considering the circumstances. The next slide will show us the European ethical principles. There are basically 4 of them that are used to determine whether something is ethical or not ethical. The first one is that the patient has the right of autonomy to make a decision. So what is moral, what is ethical, is what the patient has agreed to as a treatment or as an intervention. Beneficence means that when we undertake any medical procedure, we must make sure that we are bringing benefit. Non-maleficence means that we do not cause harm. And justice means that there is either equity or equality, and this has got a lot of philosophical discussions about it. So these are 4 ethical principles from the European perspective. Next slide. Now we look at the Islamic theory of ethics. In Islam, we really have got only one theory, and that is the theory of the maqasid al-sharia, the theory of the purposes of the law, because Islamic law is there to fulfill 5 basic purposes. If an action is in conformity with one of these purposes or more of these purposes, it's moral, it's ethical. If it violates them, then it's not ethical. The first one is protection of morality or protection of religion, hifdh ad-din. The second one is hifdh an-nafs, protection of life and good health. And this is the main work of medicine and medical intervention. The third one is protection of progeny, protection of the family, of reproduction, when we treat children, when we treat pregnant women and deliver them safely, when we treat infertility, we are fulfilling this purpose of protecting progeny, hifdh an-nasl. The fourth one is protection of the mind, hifdh al-aql. What we do in psychiatry, what we do in treatment of stress, what we do in treatment of addictions are all to protect the human mind, because the human without a perfectly working mind is not a perfect human. And the last one is protection of wealth or resources, hifdh al-mal, that whatever we do, we should not waste the resources. We will now next see the Islamic ethical principles. There are 5 of them, and they are derived from the principles of the law, or qawa'id al-fiqh. The first one is the principle of intention. It means that whatever we do is judged by the intentions behind, qa'adat al-qasd, al-umur maqasidah. So when we are doing anything, we need to make sure that our underlying intentions are clean and are moral. The second one is the principle of certainty, qa'adat al-yaqeen. What it means is that we never take actions when we are not certain. we need to do good clinical examination, good investigations, so that when we take actions, we can base them on certainty or yaqeen. The third principle is the principle of injury, قاعدة الضرر. This means that any intervention should cause no injury and should bring about benefit. Generally, if the benefit is more than the injury, we go ahead. But if the injury is more than the benefit, we do not go ahead with that procedure. The fourth one is the principle of hardship, قاعدة المشقة. What it means is that when we have a difficulty and we need to save life, we will take actions that are normally prohibited for the sake of preserving life and good health. The fifth one is the principle of custom or precedent. This says that we need to practice according to the procedures that are agreed on by everybody in the profession, because it's a principle of the Sharia that al-ada muhakkama. What is customary has got the force of law. Now next slide, we will now look at other principles involved in ethics. The first, the principle of disclosure and truthfulness. As medical practitioners, we are supposed to tell the truth and not tell any lie to the patients. And then we should disclose all the information to the patient unless there is a valid reason for not disclosing fully. Sometimes partial disclosures or white or technical lies can be discussed. In any case, if we don't disclose the whole information to the patient at the beginning, we need to make sure that eventually we come out straight and disclose all what the patient needs to know. Now, we have to be careful. We disclose as much as the patient wants to know. Sometimes the patient doesn't want to know all the information, so we need to monitor and disclose only the information he needs. It's forbidden to disclose the patient's secrets to any other people without the patient's consent. For example, we cannot tell the family about the details of the patient's illness unless the patient has given us consent to tell that the family. Part of disclosure is learning how to give bad news. Sometimes we need to tell patients about poor prognosis. We need to learn how to do this in order to cause minimum harm. Privacy and confidentiality are very important. Now, these two terms are sometimes confused. Privacy means that around our body is a private area, information that relates to us, it's personal, and nobody else can have access to it. But in medical practice, the doctors and nurses have access to our privacy. They ask us questions, they examine us, but they do this with our permission. But once they have come into our privacy, they cannot disclose any of the information that they get. This is what we call confidentiality. So confidentiality extends to medical records, that we should not give medical records to unauthorized people. And confidential information can only be released in exceptional circumstances. Of course, we need to release information to other medical practitioners so that they can know what is going on with the patient. Sometimes we may need to release it to judicial authorities if they ask for. Otherwise, the only way to release information is to get the consent of the patient. Now, let us look at fidelity. Fidelity means loyalty. Once a medical practitioner is treating a patient, he has to be loyal to the patient, more loyal to the patient than to the employer. And we need to protect the patient. We need to protect the rights of the patient. But sometimes we run into a conflict between fidelity to the patient and also other interests. For example, the management of the hospital may want us to do something that we feel is not in the best interest of the patient. In that case, ethical rules say you need to consider the patient first. Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamu alaikum.